From the Middle is a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to episode number 254 of From the Middle. We're three middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives, with points of view somewhere in the middle. We have all kinds of fun chatting about all kinds of interesting situations. And in the beginning of this episode, you'll have to listen, and we really need your feedback. How comfortable are you getting ready in the morning in the car? Where do you draw the line on what you can do to get ready in the car versus at home, and what's appropriate to eat in the car versus inappropriate to eat in the car? We have questions. We need your answers. We also talk a little bit about hanging out in the garage, baseball and visiting baseball stadiums, EA College Football 25 updates, and a little bit of streaming on the back end. Go ahead and roll that demo music and enjoy the episode.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
Okay, I have a very quick story for you and a question.
Okay.
Bree and I are taking our daughter to school. You pull up, you wait in line, you sit and wait in line for a little bit. So people tend to get kind of comfortable, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking in the rearview mirror and I see somebody in the car doing makeup. Seems pretty normal. Lots of people do makeup in the car. Unfortunately, even lots of times while they're driving. But they're parked, so no big deal. Don't think much of it. Look back 10 minutes later, still doing makeup and like hair now has been added in. Feels like a little bit long, but okay. They have this time to do whatever. Quit paying attention. Look back again. Now the shirt is lifted with deodorant. Deodorant is being applied in the car. Both sides. This doesn't feel like a refresher based on the vigor with which they're applying the deodorant. And so now I'm wondering, did any prep work happen at home? Because even as a guy, and guys are gross, right? Even as a guy, deodorant never happens outside of the house. Like that's not and I don't mean like if you go to the gym and you work out and you put on deodorant. I don't mean that. I mean, I would never feel comfortable leaving the house without deodorant. Other steps
undeodoranted.
Steps might happen. I know some people will like set perfume or cologne in their car or some makeup items. I just wasn't prepared for seeing the deodorant and then seeing how strongly it was being applied. So the question is, does it matter or how much is too much getting ready in the car? Where do you draw the line? Do you finish wiping in the car if you're really in a rush? Like you reach back with some wet wipes if you missed a little bit. Is that too far? Should you just take your time? Because it feels like was it the Brian Regan bit that was like toaster strudels, like there were instructions and it's like microwave for 3 seconds. It's like if you don't have 3 seconds, you might want to loosen up your schedule a little bit if you can't like toast your Pop-Tarts. That's what it was. Pop-Tarts. If you had to microwave your Pop-Tarts instead of microwave toasting your Pop-Tarts because you have so little time in the morning, you might want to find some time in your day or loosen up your schedule a little bit. So I feel like, if deodorant is being applied that vigorously or, you're taking wet wipes with you out the door, what's too much? Is there too much or does it not matter? You're in your own car. As long as you're not driving and being reckless, does it not matter? Is there any limitation?
That's the key context. So before we put it out there, let's just say in a stopped car or a situation like that, the school drop-off line is way safer than moving on a roadway and trying to also abide by traffic laws and be aware. So in a stopped car, how this person sounds like they've done this before to have brought the makeup and deodorant and have both handy. This doesn't seem like this was a one-off. This person probably has counted on that time of the day
It must be.
to get ready.
They even nuke their Pop-Tarts. So I guess that to me feels like not very an intimate of space to be applying deodorant, to like lift your shirt to do deodorant. Something on your face, like I could see somebody getting lotion or something like that. That feels a little intimate, especially when you know other parents are just sitting and looking around at you. Like you don't care, fine, you don't have to care. It just feels like, is there anything in your morning routine that you're like, yeah, I could do that all in my car if I had to? Or is there anything you're like, no, that's too far? Shave? You wouldn't shave your head?
No, I mean, there's like core grooming or core beautifying, and then there's like touch up. So like touch up, if you have a comb and you do a couple to your beard or your hair, that's a touch up. That's not your core grooming for the day. A little spritz of cologne on the wrist, 2 on the wrist, 1 cloud walk through like Sebastian does. That's not core grooming. That's a touch up thing. This person has taken core grooming
Yeah.
into the car. That's what's interesting to me.
If you were doing core grooming, would you personally want a more private parking space to do it? Would you maybe pull behind a fast food restaurant, or less eyes on you? Or do you just not care? Do you just, whatever you need to do, you're there? It's getting
Depends
done.
on if I'm in a part. Am I in a town where people know me?
Yes, I live in a town where people know people, so I would say sure. You live in a pretty small town, people know you, so sure.
Yeah.
I think part of this for me goes to time. Back to the Pop-Tart thing. First of all, I think I've heard before, life is too short to not toast your Pop-Tarts. And I feel like they are so much better after being toasted. Like I would never not toast a Pop-Tart. But putting on deodorant takes all of 3 seconds to do before you put your shirt on in the morning. That's not a big time save to not put on your deodorant first.
Right.
The makeup I can understand.
Sure.
That would be a time save to do your multitask with putting on your makeup. I can understand that. I guess that would be the limiting factor for me. I think doing anything revealing, like I wouldn't change my clothes in the car, regardless of whether or not people knew me. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not all about the general getting ready on your way to places kind of thing. This one feels a little bit different because it's a little bit of a time suck of the day to drop your kid off. And so you can fill that time with something. So maybe it's a little bit of a gray area there. But
it's interesting you brought up clothes, because like bottoms certainly feel like a no. But then again, tops, I mean, theoretically, that's a little easier for a guy, right? Like if you're just changing a shirt in your car, you like take one off, throw one on. Seems kind of easy. I wouldn't have thought about clothes at all. I would have thought like clothes just have to be on you when you leave the house. But
I have a friend who works for a landscaping company. And there is a story where he lost his wallet.
Okay.
He can't find his wallet. And his wallet's missing for a while now. Looked all over his truck, looked all over his house, can't find it. And then realized that, the pants that I was wearing with that wallet, I think they're also missing. Can't find his pants. And so now he's thinking, sometimes he will change his clothes, pants included, on the job. He'll just like park in such a way that he can just open his door, stand outside his truck at someone's house if he knows they're not home, and he'll just change his clothes right there. And he was pretty sure that he left his pants at a client's house,
my gosh.
like in their yard.
Now, does he do this because he's in a rush from home for work for the day? Or like, is he in between jobs? Like,
That's a fair question that I don't know the answer to.
interesting.
But
I
that
feel
was
like-
the story. Now, he and his wife then, they went to this client's house at night in the dark with flashlights, hunting around looking for ants. And
You're
didn't
fixing to
find
get
them.
shot in certain parts of the.
You hear the whoop, whoop. Sir,
Uh,
can we help you? Just looking for
Just-
my pants.
I think I left my pants here.
That's a knock on the door situation. Hey, homeowner, very sorry. I need to search your property for my pantaloons.
Yeah.
I think-
Apparently, so I asked some follow-up questions. I'm hearing this story from the wife. And I'm cracking up as I'm hearing it. And I had some of the same follow-up questions that I'm sure we all have. And part of what alleviates some of the awkwardness was they are long-term clients. And I guess they know them pretty well, have a good relationship with them. So it's a little different context when you throw that in there, but still.
I feel like you could have made that better too by saying, "Hey, I was here earlier. I think maybe some extra work pants fell out of my truck. Might have
Yeah.
even been sitting with my wallet. Do you have those?" So, same question for meals. Is there anything that somebody could be eating in the car that you'd go, all right? Like we've seen, people with bowls of cereal in the car. I've seen that. It's not like a bar. It's not like a protein bar or a protein shake or something, right? Like that's easy. Is there any kind of food where you're like, come on, guy?
I think anytime utensils are involved, you need to rethink your situation. Unless you're the passenger. Like
That's
again,
good
we're
point.
saying when you just happen to be in the car, you're not necessarily doing thoughtful driving,
Mhm.
I guess. But like if you're ordering a salad at the Wendy's drive-through and plan on still commuting
While you're driving, yeah.
while you're driving and you're doing the old, oh, I'm driving with my knee thing, I'm not a fan.
You know what I've
Yeah.
yet to ever see? It's a little too new. I'm sure somebody's tried it. Somebody being parked, not like parked in a spot parked stuck in traffic and like door dashing to their car.
Oh,
Imagine somebody in the pickup line and then like a DoorDash scooter pulls up and like hands them a bag of food while
that needs to be a thing.
while they're waiting. And
Wow.
then I've never seen that. I feel that feels too modern of a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DoorDash needs to open up some convenience stores in LA and things that can get some guys on Vespas and
Yeah. I think you're
market
right
that.
though, because if
They
that
can
person,
they could sell catheters.
I think you're right though. The not moving thing, like even if a big breakfast burrito came out, I wouldn't think as much of it if you're like stopped and you're waiting,
Mhm.
in traffic. But I think still anything with a utensil. Imagine a plate of lasagna or like the bowl of cereal thing or a steak and you're trying to like cut it on the dashboard.
Right.
That feels,
So
it feels a little
something that I've done once, I did a Costco run one time, and it was before I was picking my kids up from preschool. So I had a little bit of time to kill. My plan was I was going to eat, I hadn't eaten lunch yet. I was going to eat lunch after the Costco run. And you always buy the rotisserie chicken when you're at Costco. And I had a rotisserie chicken sitting just behind me. I'm like, I'm not gonna buy lunch. I've got a rotisserie chicken right here. And so I opened that bad boy up, tore off a drum, started gnawing on a drum. So is that out of bounds?
handheld. Yes, technically.
It
But
is handheld.
your hands are touching the meat directly, which feels somehow like it
A little medieval.
creates a no-no kind of situation. It's
Okay.
like technically several thick slices of ham could be handheld, but that feels a little odd when the meat touches the skin directly.
What if it was like a KFC drumstick? Is that any better?
See, that still doesn't feel like a mobile food. It is technically; it's literally got a handle. But
that was a situational thing that's probably the most extreme that I've ever done while driving. Is
I think it needs a bread buffer. I think that's where it feels okay. As soon as you introduce, so what I'm saying is, if you'd had a KFC biscuit and you'd ripped off some meat and put it in a biscuit and then held a biscuit, now we're talking sandwich. Now that feels like it's not meat on skin.
I feel like that would be more dangerous to assemble that while driving than to just grab the meat and go to town.
It is, but what's weird is the bread makes it feel more appropriate.
Right.
As soon as something's in a tortilla or on a bun, if you had had a corn dog, the bread wrapped around it with the stick makes it feel less inappropriate. I don't know. There's something to this. We're establishing rules.
We're establishing rules and we're bringing up a lot of good points, and there's so many different threads I feel like I could follow. But one of you said earlier, I just assume that the getting ready is done by the time you got into the car. And I think that I very much live my life in segmented fashion. And maybe it's because I don't commute that often as someone who works from home. Even flights, I never think, oh, I could get a lot of work done on this flight, because it's not very comfortable for a guy my size to pull down that tray. I have a very large MacBook. I can't. And then there's sensitive information. The person next to me, I don't know that they're not reading my screen. I never think to get ready while I'm driving. Getting ready is something that happens, and then I drive to where I'm going. I don't think about all the ways I could Venn diagram the things I have to do in a given day.
So that was the initial question. How much are you comfortable doing in the car? Maybe yours is just cologne. Maybe the most your mind can process is Venn diagramming. I guess I could put a bottle of cologne in the car. Maybe that's it for you.
That's it for me. Or I'll throw a Artius Man wooden comb in the door, in the side pocket of the door, and do a little before I get out of the car for whatever appointment I'm there for. That's it.
Like, first long light, I'll grab the comb and do a quick.
Oh, I'll add one. One of my favorite products we've talked about, I'm pretty sure on the podcast, recommended by my wife, are those Colgate Wisps. They're little short reusable toothbrushes that have a toothpick on one end and then a very small bristly brush head on the other that has a little burst like a Listerine sheet. It's like a little bubble that as you start brushing, it bursts with a minty whatever, and you can brush your teeth after you've eaten a meal, say you're on a plane or you're commuting. It's perfect for on-the-go toothbrushing. I would do that. But if I saw somebody with their full-size tube of toothpaste and their regular toothbrush in the car, I'd be like, this guy didn't plan his day very well.
Which you know is happening. Somebody somewhere literally at this moment is brushing their teeth while they're driving. There's no chance it's not happening in the world somewhere.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Interesting. Kendall, is there anything you would take into the car as part of your day? Anything? Or is it like, nope, I plan my day better than that?
I guess I plan my day better than that. Like my family makes fun of me because I have my backpack that's like, they call me Captain Prepared because somebody could have a gunshot wound and I can handle it. Like, I'm not prepared for grooming. So like, that's just altogether off my list.
Yeah.
I don't know what I have for grooming.
Fair enough.
I don't think I have anything.
Okay.
I keep a handkerchief in my pocket. That's about it.
Now, I would love to know, anyone listening, if you're willing to admit it, you don't have to identify yourself. Message us or email or leave a voicemail. You can ID yourself if you want. I'd love to know the most that you've ever done. Maybe it's the most crazy meal you've eaten in a car or while traveling, or maybe the most preparation for a day. I don't think it's like, I used an airport bathroom to get ready in between long flights, because like that's different. We're talking about like in the morning, getting ready, leaving for the day kind of stuff. That's a very specific situation that we're talking about. Or like one time I had to go on a long trip and my mom made me a huge plate of food, but I didn't have time to eat it before I left. So I literally had like turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing, casserole, green beans all in the car while I was driving home from Thanksgiving. That's the kind of stuff. So if anybody has those stories about those two things, I'd love to hear about it. I think that'd be fun.
You guys brought up DoorDash. This is kind of cool. So if you're not watching, I'm at the company headquarters and I'm here with some colleagues and they just sent me the text that's like, hey, add to this DoorDash order. So I'm sorry to have split my attention, but my lunch is on the line. So it's so cool. You just click the menu and then it's awesome. Anyway, technology is great.
Yeah, Columbus has something similar. I'm sure a lot of cities do. We would do the same with Slack when I was working at our HQ, not from home. It was called Cluster Truck. And it was like, hey, so-and-so made a cluster truck order. And then you could go in and click it, and then it would pull up their website, add their whole menu or everything from their menu, add whatever you want, and it would just add it in. It was super convenient.
Super convenient. So thank you, Sophia, for sending that.
All good. Hope you pick something nice.
Yeah, it looks like it's
hope they deliver it to your person on your walk back to the hotel.
Agent place. Beignets, jambalaya, Creole shrimp, and over some andouille rice, all kinds of stuff.
Where are you?
I'm in Seattle, but the place we're ordering from seems to be a Cajun.
You're in like the whitest place on the planet. And
yeah, and I had sushi last night.
There's a Cajun. All right. Right on.
So I know our listeners are probably tired of me talking about sheds. We know one isn't, and is fully supportive of this. But it's dovetailed into another love. And I was talking with another loyal listener, Brad, about this. A good old garage hang. So now that a bunch of stuff has been offloaded into our shed, the garage now is very clean. There's room for one car, one motorcycle, two bikes. That's it. Plus the drink fridge. This is key to the story.
Right.
Dillon gave me a hand-me-down 5.1 sound system. So I hung all the speakers up around the garage. And I've been talking to my buddy and I was like, who lives in the neighborhood. And I'm like, hey man, I feel like we just need an excuse, make something up. We just need to hang out in the garage. He's like, we should do that soon. Separate from that, friend of the show and owner of Backroom Coffee Roasters, Trent, gives me a call the other night and he said, hey, I got something in the shop I really want you to see. He's got this amazing pole barn. It's like 2 stories high on one side. The other side has an office and loft with like a waist-high wall that looks over the open side where he works on vehicles doing some vinyl wrapping and stuff, and where he does the coffee roasting for Backroom Coffee Roasters. So I go over, he's working on a special project that I can't share, but we just turned on some music and for like 2 hours had an adult beverage or two and just hung out in the garage. I liked it so much that I called the first guy I was talking about and I was like, Brad, we need to hang out in your garage. So now I'm into the garage hang because it's spring. People are out walking their dogs. The occasional neighbor walks by. Hey, folks, how you doing? Good to see you. Lovely day, isn't it? As we're just listening to classic rock in the garage, drinking beer. It's like
that's
what's
how
happening.
It goes, man.
What's happening to me, guys? I love sheds and a good garage hang.
And if you're near Kendall's neighborhood, his solo stove is out in his driveway. So not only do you get music, you get a nice little fire.
Get a nice little fire. I tell you what, I think it was the Grab 'em in the Brisket guys not too long ago were talking about cooler maintenance now that it's summertime. It's garage hangout time. And there's dudes. I've got a guy just down the street that's like you drive by his house, he's in his garage. That's just the way it is. And I'm sure that he has a beer cooler that he just maintains 24/7 in his garage and knows when he needs to switch out the ice and
there's another guy in our neighborhood that like not late at night, but like 8, 9 as it's getting dark, his garage door is flung wide open and he's just tinkering out there, just doing little projects. He's got his tool bench and music going. Sherry was like, why do you keep I'll take a sports chair and I'll just look at the street and other neighbors. We've got a beautiful back patio that's private. But I was like, hey, let's wheel the Blackstone around to the front of the house.
Yes.
And I'll just cook up some chicken
Yes.
quesadillas. And I got my beer and I'm just got my sports chair and I'm
Dude.
looking out front.
You're fighting the suburban curse, man. And I appreciate that. I do. I really, really do. Man.
It's fun.
Getting suburb people to talk to each other is like pulling teeth. It's because like we all set up to like be so private and not let other people involved at all in our lives. And like if we want something, we can pay for it. That's why we live in the suburbs. We can afford to live in the suburbs. And so we want to just give our money and then have people leave us alone. Like that's how we approach life. And man, hang out in the driveway and make people talk to you.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Now that I
people
painted
a
the
lot of
line,
good.
now that I painted the lines on the basketball court, it's attracting children from the dead end to come and play knockout from my driveway instead.
Yeah.
So I'm just out there cooking on the Blackstone. The kids are playing basketball. Their parents are walking over because they need to get home for dinner. But I'm like, how are you folks doing today? I love it, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you guys want to come hang out in my garage, it's a good time.
You should say, hey, come on over, have a quesadilla. I'm listening to this hilarious podcast. You should download it.
Exactly.
These guys are so funny. Funniest show I've ever heard. That's what you should do.
You know, another funny show, our friends in Odd Pods Media. Let's hear a word from them.
Hey, this is Grab and Brisket Podcast. Join us every Monday where we talk about the latest trends in barbecue, interviews with world top pitmasters, celebrity cooks,
Ooh, like Wee Man from Jackass.
and musicians.
Like Rich O'Toole?
So check us out. We do beer reviews, barbecue fails.
So many fires.
Dude, a lot of people just burn their houses down for no reason.
We also talk about cocaine hippos versus meth gators,
Learn how to make some tailgate gravy.
altercations with Texas Rangers.
People throwing Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah, so check out grabthebrisket.com for podcast info, viral social media posts, and so much more.
I would hang out with those guys in my garage.
Indeed-a-roo.
They're good
Indeed.
people.
I
care what
love
anybody
summertime.
Yeah?
I'm glad summertime's here. It is very baseball-y. We've had, I mean, there's still going to be some fishing, but you know, like the past couple years have been like fishing has kind of been the theme of my summer and spring, really spring and fall. And that'll continue probably to a lesser extent so far in the spring because we've had a kid in baseball, and that is a time suck, but it's a time suck that I adore.
So fun.
And I'll take it. And right now in my Apple Wallet, I have 3 different sets of baseball tickets. And there's going to be at least one more set in there. And that's at 4 different ballparks even. Yes. It's going to be that kind of summer, and I'm totally ready for it.
Are you collecting something from each ballpark, like a little thing?
Yeah, so I decided that like I'm one of those people who wants to see. I don't know if I'll ever get to see every ballpark, but I want to go to as many as I can. And they do. So a lot of ballparks, well, all major league ballparks have like little medallions that you can buy and you can put them in a book or whatever. I'm a hat guy, and so what I like to do is go to the ballpark, buy a hat in their stadium, and then I'm going to root for the home team. And hopefully they're not playing the Tigers. I'll root for the home team. And that's it. That's my experience. I'll go by myself. I'll go with others. It's fine.
Could I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
You could go to each park and get their like signature hot dog and then put that in a resin. And then you would have like this encapsulated hot dog that you could put from every stadium, but on a shelf.
Dude, I've got fat guy syndrome. It would never like that. I could start that plan with good intentions and it wouldn't happen. And even if I followed through, I'd have these hot dogs sitting in resin one day and I'd get hungry. And then you would just find all these cracked open resin cases.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, look how shriveled this one is. You can tell it's from New York because of how it is. That's awesome.
Anyway.
I love a good ballpark. I love how they each have their own features and vibes, and aspects of the stadium that make it fun, and different little like chants and stuff, obviously specific to the team. I
Mhm.
think I told you when we and your wife were out in California
Yeah.
last summer, Sherry had an idea on a Sunday after church. She's like, "Hey, why don't we go to an Angels game?"
Yeah.
And so we left the church that we visited that day. Didn't even go back to our hotel, just like we were already a couple innings into the game. So we parked right up close to the stadium at the whatever spots were still available, walked right in, grabbed a hot dog, sat down, and watched the rest of an Angels game.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the best decisions we ever made. I'm out here in Seattle. T-Mobile Park isn't that far away. I'm like, one of these days, I should just plan an extra day and go catch a Mariners game, and see what that stadium is like. I've
Yeah.
heard from locals that the infrastructure and people management wasn't great. And so like something as simple as getting a beer or a hot dog took forever. They're now like, I was up, grabbed my snacks and back in my seat in 2 minutes. They've got things really efficient now. And I'm like, I should go check out a Mariners game sometime.
I tell you what, like if a person was into the sports, you're into doing this, you can like go by yourself. It's easy, it's fun. Sports fans are at live sporting events by and large are great people. And you can like if you're going by yourself, you don't need to worry about buying anything in advance. You just show up and go to for a baseball game. Baseball games don't sell out typically. And they'll be happy that you're looking for one seat because they've got a bunch of single seats that they can't sell. And so you can get a decent seat. And what's also good about going up to the box office in a strange city is you can tell the person, hey, I want to sit in the shade. And they're like, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's fun.
So it's great. Make friends with the guys next to you in San Diego. I made friends with the retiree vets in San Diego. Those guys were awesome. I loved hanging out with them.
Offer to buy you a drink,
with
and
those
you have to
guys.
have an awkward conversation about why you can't accept it.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
Here's another weird rule of mine that you guys will not be surprised by. So I, as a designer, really love the Seattle Kraken logo.
Mhm.
I love it. I think it's a great logo. It's very clever. But I can't get a hat until I go to a Kraken game.
Mm,
And so I'm going to do that one of the times that I'm here. Just like, well,
I understand that sentiment. Yeah.
work has a box. And so if I'm ever lucky enough to get one of those tickets, that would be cool. But if not, I'm just going to go by myself. But then once I'm there, then and only then can I buy a Kraken hat.
Yeah, I understand that. Hey, by the way, shout out. We've been shouting out grabbing the brisket a lot lately, but there's a good chance I got to say this quietly that I might be heading to Houston later this summer for a ball game. So,
Dude, yeah, you're going to have to connect with those guys. Hit up Bucky's, have some brisket, and then you got to vlog some of it so we can share it on our YouTube, where we have side videos that we call mid bits, and you could vlog and have a little mid bit of your travels.
I'm not going to have a car,
Hmm.
so that could be a problem.
Okay,
But I'll be downtown
that's fun.
near Minute Maid.
We love those guys. Shout out.
Anyway,
Well, speaking of sporting events and speaking of seasons, I know something that my brother is very excited about. And knowing how excited he was about this, I genuinely had a palpable sense of excitement for him when the full reveal trailer for EA Sports College Football 25 came
oh yes, let's hear it,
this
Dillon.
past week. So, Dillon, what were your thoughts? Of course, our cousin's husband had to make a comment about the Ohio State player being stiff-armed into the turf in the trailer. So we won't talk about that. Brutus did make the trailer, but Dillon, were you waiting with bated breath, clicking refresh on YouTube, waiting for the?
Yeah.
How did you feel?
Yeah, so it was funny. They kept teasing that something was coming, and then one day, like an image dropped or something with the pricing, and people were like, "Was that the reveal?" But there was still a countdown going on their website. So then it hit the reveal trailer. Now, most people were thrilled with finally getting a trailer. There were, of course, some people that were like, where's the gameplay trailer? I want to see what it's like when you're actually playing the game. But it's like, that's going to come. We're less than 2 months now from the actual release date, which is July 19th. But much like the teaser, which was great and self-aware of the fact that it'll be 11 years since the game has been out. The first lines uttered in the reveal trailer, just for some of the cutscenes, it was Reese Davis, and it says, and he says, "Finally, it's here. You can take all that just another game stuff and throw it out. The eyes of the nation are on this field today, and that's what these players live for." And it was like a perfectly self-aware for all the people that are like, another game's never coming out, or it's just going to be like Madden reskin, or it's going to, even if it is, even if the gameplay, which they've said, all the leaks have said from the beginning, the EA team is hyper aware that college is a lot different than the NFL in the sense that the NFL teams, there's 30 some, they pretty much all play the same type of offense and style in general when you compare it to how different 134 college teams play.
Mhm.
NFL teams all start to look pretty similar comparatively, and 134 college teams can't all look the same because Georgia Tech is way different than Oregon, who's way different than Alabama, who's way different than Ohio State, who's way different than insert other teams. And so the EA team is very aware that this needs to feel different. So all the leaks have been as such. But even if it's just a Madden reskin, and even if the playbooks are barely different, you still have all the pageantry and the custom conferences and the rivalries, and there's so much more in this game that that Madden just wouldn't have. And Madden, really, at this point, the biggest complaint has been that it's been basically built on the ultimate team mode, game mode, which is pay money to build an ultimate team, and it's a cash cow for EA. Well, EA knows that the game modes that people care about in college are Road to Glory and Dynasty. So when they were rolling out the game modes, their new Ultimate Team mode was at the bottom of the list because they know that if Road to Glory is bad and Dynasty is bad, and if Team Builder's not there, which all of that's in the game, people aren't going to play it. That's why college became popular. People want to build their own team. They want to do Road to Glory. They want to recruit players. They want to build dynasties and win multiple national championships and schedule rivalries. And so all that's in there, which is exciting. So it's available for pre-order. There's a couple different versions. It's $70 for the game. It's $100 if you want the deluxe version. It's $150 if you want the game and Madden. Both this year's editions of both of those games with some pre-order.
What does the deluxe version get you?
So the deluxe version, the $99 version, is early 3-day early access and $4,600 in-game currency. I don't know if that in-game currency is only going to work in the Ultimate Team mode, which I personally don't care about, or if it theoretically could be used for things like unlocking alternate jerseys or stadium upgrades, or I'm making stuff up. Nobody said any of that, but I want to learn a little more before I will pre-order it either way. And people will say, don't pre-order games. You're rewarding EA, and if the game comes out and it's trash, you've already rewarded them with your money. They need to earn it. And it's like, it's been 11 years. I'm buying this game 100%, no matter how trash or good it is, because I want to see college football on 4K. So for me, it doesn't matter. I'm buying it 100% either way. Now every iteration after this, if they go back to making college football every year, that'll be different. People will wait. People will see what features the games will include or not. But yeah, July 19th, you can pre-order the game. The trailer's out there. I would expect them to slow roll out some gameplay trailer over the next couple weeks and little snippets. But the fact that Team Builder's in it, the fact that it's got playoff mode, the fact that it's got Road to Glory and Dynasty was really pretty much all most fans needed to hear. So get it for PS5 or the newest Xbox, whatever garbage console that is. And I can't wait. I'm so excited. I've already got a list of teams I want to build. So I'm just waiting I'm waiting for the NCAA 14. It was a website, so you built them there, and then you could download them into the game. I'm hoping the team builder site launches early, so I can go in and start like making teams so that they're ready when the game comes out. But we'll see.
So excited for you, man. It's great.
I'm nerding out for like whoever's listening that might actually care. You can message directly on our social channels if you want to chat more about it. I know one person in the Facebook for the middle from the middle already commented that they pre-ordered it too. So we're going to swap PSN IDs so we can hopefully play each other. But I can't wait, man. It's been a long time. And whatever comes after this game version, fine. I'm sure they'll keep pushing microtransactions, which I don't care for. But as long as all the big stuff is there and the bulk of it's there for people to play, there's going to be more teams in it than were in NCAA 14 because more teams have moved up to FBS football. In fact, I think another team is moving up next year. Missouri State is moving up in 2025. So every year there's going to be, or at least couple years, there's going to be a bigger playoff. There's going to be more teams that have moved up. They'll keep adding more and more detail. Because they couldn't do everything for this one, I'm sure. Certainly not every feature and use every bit of photo and video and everything for every team. I'm sure they can do it. So I'm sure they'll keep building on this version and adding more and more to all the teams. So can't wait.
Well, if anything, like the football game, all of the sports games that come out every year, college football seems to make the most sense because, like you said, it is way more fluid. Like the college football game changes more year in and year out than any of the other sports. So we're talking not just rule changes, but now like conference shifts and like playoff eras and things like that are all changing.
NIL is in the game. So what if they make rules for NIL this year? That's going to change, for next year. You have schools that move up occasionally in like conference realignment. The playoffs going from 8 teams to 12 teams or to 16 teams or whatever. So yeah, it'll make more sense to buy it. Not to mention the rosters, the rosters changing with each new class. And I hope they're going to stay on top of, which I think they do this for pretty well for soccer. The roster changes throughout the season because people are moving constantly, especially with the portal. Right. The portal being open and with transfer rules allowing kids to play immediately, people are going to be moving all the time. So, and then with Team Builder, it constantly gives you reasons like, oh, what about my dad's old college, all in Albany? I'm going to make them and go play with them for 10 years in a dynasty and put them in Conference USA and then eventually move them up to the ACC. What if the ACC implodes this year or next year in 5 years? That could be a whole batch of rearrangement and then new teams that you can play as you rearrange teams. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Loyal listeners of the show are well aware and are excited with you and celebrate with you. I love that you're taking some vacation time after the game drops.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see. I know work will be a little bit busier, and we've got some personal stuff that we're doing too this summer. But if not, I'll try to fit in some vacation days as quickly as possible.
That's awesome.
Makes me happy. Kory, do you guys have summer plans? Yeah, you do. We know about your summer plans. Never mind.
Yeah, we're gonna need a few episodes in the can. Or we might do that thing where I do the thumbnail and in the bubbles that we do on YouTube, I put 5 random things that you guys have to work into the topics.
Absolutely. Like that's I love that idea. I love doing that. I love when we did that. That'd be fun. I've thought about doing the same thing. Like if I had to miss, like write a description.
Yeah. Yeah, because I love you guys, but I'm not going to join you for recording, and I really don't want to take my computer and be doing graphics. So either we get a few in the can ahead of time, or I'll do that thing, and that'll be a fun little game that I get to partake in when I get back. So yeah, that's what's up. Are we streaming anything fun? I'll do mine real quick. I'm still watching Still Game, the Scottish BBC show that was recommended by Connor and his mom. Connor, who we talked about a lot, Tomlinson from Love on the Spectrum. So I'm a few episodes into that show. I'm picking up more and more on the thick Scottish accent. It is very thick and very regional. It's even like a dialect of thick Scottish brogue that I'm trying to like pick up. So I'm trying to get to the point where I can watch without the subtitles. That's my own little personal challenge, is that I can pick up enough on what they're saying. That's been a pleasure. It's a really fun show. And still watching YouTube. All the regular rotations and channels I subscribe to. Still watching Formula One and loving that. Yeah, a documentary here and there, but nobody wants to hear about documentaries.
I'm almost done with the series, almost to the series finale of Curb Your Enthusiasm. So obviously it's on its 12th season, just ended its final season. The Acolyte comes out soon. We'll be able to have new Star Wars, live action Star Wars to talk about, which is very exciting, but mostly just kind of casually watching other stuff and like Curb. So nothing crazy. But if you're a Seinfeld Larry David fan, check out that on HBO if you've never watched it.
Speaking of Curb, real quick to each of you guys, let's say you watched a show, and let's say you watched even a couple seasons of a show. Does the fact that and you left it for a while, does the fact that you'll have to do some serious sit down, like where did I end up? Where did I stop? That sometimes is a deterrent for me to just pick it up again. Like I watched 3 or 4 seasons of Curb. I watched 7 seasons of Walking Dead. I watched 6 seasons of Blacklist. And I'm like, for each of those shows, and those are the ones I often think about, I'm going to have to really sit down and try to remember where I was. And it's a deterrent. It's enough of a deterrent for me not to pick it back up sometimes. Does that ever happen to you guys?
I think I used to feel that way, but I realized, especially with stuff like Curb, it mostly doesn't matter because it's a comedy. None of the plots are that intense.
Mm-hmm.
But even with shows that
Fair
are
point.
drama, I think over time, you realize it only ever takes about an episode or two.
That's true.
For you to go, oh, right. So and so was doing such and such. And I mean, you can always go back and like get on Wikipedia and read a synopsis of like a whole season. But it only ever really takes an episode or two for you to kind of have that moment where you've recalled enough detail. Yeah.
No surprise there.
Yeah, I've thought about that. Like there's things that like I watched up to a point, and then for most of them, it's because like it ran out of what I could watch for free or what was available at all. And then so now it's like a year later, and not only because I also like I swap my subscriptions around, right? And so like I don't even remember where it was I was watching the Blacklist. And do I have that service right now? I don't know. And
or like your little red bar at the bottom, like on Netflix, for example, has reset because you've gone back and resubbed to that streamer. And now you're like, well, where the heck was I? Because my red bars are gone.
Yeah, I hear you. I tend to do I Google synopsises and do that and figure out where I was. Yeah. And then pick it up. And then eventually most of them I'll pick up again. Like the Blacklist, I'll pick up again. Eventually, and then like all of the newer Star Trek stuff I'll pick up at some point. And yeah, but right now I mean I'm still doing the WWE thing. Backlash is this weekend, and found out that there's a dad and a son on the baseball team who are wrestling fans, because the dad is like one of the like dad assistant coach guys, and he's like cheering on his son. He's like, way to go, Oos. I'm like, wait a minute,
my people.
I know where that came from. So talk to him for a minute about that. Shared our dirty little secret with each other.
That's fun.
And but other than that, I'm watching Welcome to Wrexham. Going through that season. Oh, I'm enjoying it. So
lots of language, especially when the coach, they're like the coach locker room, tons. But it's such a good show. It's like if you can avoid if you could get over the amount of F-bombs, it really is like the stories that they're telling in the village and the different fans and the impact it's having on the community. And it really is such a good show.
Yeah. Yeah. And the language is, I don't even notice it really. Other than when they like point it out for comedic reasons, like they'll have the coach and like he's dropping so many of them when he's like chastising the team at halftime that they have what they call the enthusiasm counter on screen. And every time he drops an F-bomb, the enthusiasm counter goes up, which is fun. No, I like it. Actually, I didn't realize that it wasn't a full season that had dropped. And so when I got like 3 episodes in and then, Hulu is it Hulu?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Hulu. Was trying to make me watch something else. I'm like, oh man. Because I usually like to wait until the full season is available. So I don't have to run into that. But so I'm caught up on Wrexham.
That's awesome.
That's about it for me.
All right.
Artiest Man is a place that you should go and stock your car full of grooming products.
Good callback. Well done.
You're gonna need doubles of everything because you need one for the car and one for your bathroom for whatever strange reason that you commuters like to anybody have a shower in their car? I don't know. In any case, artiusman.com. Put a bunch of stuff in your cart. Type in the middle and the discount box. You'll save 25% off your first order. So you save money, and we get a little thank you from Artiest Man for telling you to do that. And I'm sure they're going to appreciate your business, and they're solid people over there. So do that thing and smell better. Anything else?
That's it. Join us next week for another raucous episode of From the Middle. Be kind to each other. Bye.